All right. Tuesday, May 28th. Hello. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the latest edition of Black and Gold Breakdown. If you're not already subscribed, do all that YouTube stuff. I'm Jarrett Bailey, USA Today, behind the steel curtain with you as always. If I seem a little tired, it's because I am. I'm burnt. I'm burnt out. I shouldn't say burnt out. It's just one of those days, man, where it's mid-May, trying to find things to talk about. Um, it's just a lot. Just a lot. Been adding a lot to my plate, content-wise, and I don't want to sound like I'm complaining because there's a lot of people who would love to be tired from talking about football. So like, I'm not complaining. Just let you know that if I seem a little bit less energetic today, it's because I've just, from free agency to the draft and to May, like it's gone fast, but it's also just been, a little bit of a lull. But, there's certainly a wall that I've hit, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, man, man, I didn't want to not do this tonight because one, you guys watch it, and that does mean a lot to me. And the fact that each episode of this is done, thousands of views, that again, thank you for that sincerely. Like, that helps me a lot and I appreciate it. So I didn't want to not do this. But just know if I seem a little bit less energetic today, it's just I'm gonna be going to bed early tonight. I'll put it that way. But I did want to talk about one player in particular today. So we're gonna be spending over the next couple of days some time on the defense. Today or tomorrow, we're gonna talk about Patrick Queen. He hopped on with my good buddy Derek Bell of Steelers Now on his YouTube channel. That's been making a ton of waves all over national media ground. So tip of the hat to DB. He's busted his ass for the last couple years, and he's consistently been one of the absolute best in terms of Steelers coverage, Steelers media. Like, he's awesome. And so for him to get something like that, man, like I could not be. That's a big win for content creators. He put out a big tweet about it. Like, it's a big win for content creators and people who outside of the quote unquote traditional media box. So I'm very happy for him. And if you haven't watched the entire interview that he did with Patrick Queen, I believe his YouTube handle is just Steelers_DB. And if you're watching this on YouTube, odds are you watch plenty of Derek as well. So just wanted to tip my cap to him. He's done tremendous stuff. So we're going to talk about his interview with Patrick Queen tomorrow. I'll just give you my, views on Queen. And so that'll be tomorrow. But today, I wanted to talk about Joey Porter Jr. Mark Caboli of The Athletic put out a piece. He had asked Joey Porter, hey, who's the best cornerback in the NFL? And Joey said, and I quote, me for sure. And then he said, there are a lot of good DBs in the league. Nobody was doing what I was doing against wide receiver ones the entire year and locking them down. I don't care if I'm mentioned in there or not, because they are going to hear my name eventually. So Joey Porter, very confident in himself, as he should be. If you look at players with at least 100 coverage snaps last year, Joey Porter allowed the third lowest reception percentage of all of them. So he was tremendous last year. And obviously, look at the numbers that he put up against the likes of, Puka Nacua and other elite receivers around the league. Very few, if any, receivers had a lot of success against Joey Porter. The only one with, any marginal success was DK Metcalf, who had, I think, 86 yards receiving against him. But outside of that, Joey Porter, I don't think he allowed more than 50 yards in a game. So he did tremendous last year. And not necessarily a guy who you hear national media circles talking about too much. A lot of the buzz is around Sauce Gardner, Pat Surtain, those types of guys. If Jalen Ramsey's probably still in that conversation, but for the most part, the top two that people really touch on are Sauce Gardner and Pat Surtain. And Joey Porter hasn't really been in those conversations, and he's making it very known that he believes he should be. And the numbers don't necessarily lie when it comes to that. So the Steelers as a whole, one, what a steal getting Joey Porter basically in exchange for Chase Claypool. That's what the trade basically came down to. They got the 32nd overall pick in the 2023 draft in exchange for Chase Claypool. Still an amazing pull by Omar Khan. And end up taking Joey Porter Jr., who kind of fell in their laps. A lot of people thought that they were going to take him in the first round. They were originally picking 17th. They end up trading up to take Broderick Jones, and then Porter slides out of the first round. So basically the pick was a first-round pick because it was the 32nd overall pick, which in any other draft would have been a first-round pick. I can't remember exactly why or who lost their pick. Was it Carolina might have lost a pick? I think it was tampering-related reasons, so there's only – or no, it was Miami. It was Miami. So there was only 31 first-round picks last year. So basically the Steelers got a first-round pick in exchange for Chase Claypool and took Joey Porter Jr., and they're reaping the rewards of that right now. So, and Joey Porter, and again, it's nice to see that confidence in somebody. It's not a cockiness, and even if it is a cockiness, like you got to have a cockiness if you're going to be good in the NFL. And if there's anybody that's gonna be cocky, let it be my star cornerback. That's the way I would view it as a head coach, a general manager, anybody in charge of making football decisions. Like there's two position groups really that are going to be loudmouthed, but if they're good, hell, be as loudmouthed as you want. That's receiver and that's defensive back. We know receivers are going to talk. We know defensive backs are going to talk. But if they're good, hell, talk all you want. And again, it's not as if Joey Porter was throwing anybody under the bus. And again, if you didn't read the quote, Mark Caboli of The Athletic doing the write-up here, there are a lot of good DBs in the league. Nobody was doing what I was doing against wide receiver ones the entire year and locking him down. I don't care if I am mentioned in there or not because they are going to hear my name eventually. So a lot of confidence coming from Joey Porter Jr., which is very nice to see because he had a very, very productive, very good rookie season for the Steelers, and one that's only going to continue getting better as the unquestioned number one corner in this room that's full of a lot of young guys. We touched on the young guys last week, especially after OTAs, because Darius Rush had a really nice Thursday performance. Corey Trice has looked good. Beanie Bishop has looked good. So this is, a young defensive back, young cornerback room for the Steelers that I'm very much looking forward to. And very much looking forward to seeing in the preseason, seeing in camp. I'll be back at OTAs on Thursday. So I'll let you know firsthand what I see there. I'll let you know both via this show and all my written reports at Behind the Steel Curtain as to what I see. Talk to players in the locker room afterwards. So I'll let you know everything that I hear and that I see. But everything that I've seen from the defensive back room in specific has been really good. And obviously everything that I've seen from Joey Porter, both in camp last year, started off a little bit slow, was very on and off, up and down during the early portions of camp, but in preseason was very good. And once he got on the field, it was very quick to see that he was going to be very good. Even in Cleveland, week 2 against the Browns was kind of like his first big play or big performance. He didn't see the field as much as fans would have liked, but every time he was on the field, he seemed to make something happen. And, the game-winning play for the Steelers was a pass breakup by Joey Porter. So he has all the right in the world to be confident in himself. Mark tuning in. How's it going, Mark? Just want to say I missed the live stream last night. Listen today. Really like your breakdown of Wilson last night. A lot of good info. Feel much better about our chances. Well, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Yeah. And again, I think Russell Wilson can be good in this offense. And I think that worst case scenario, if he's fine, cool. That's all the Steelers need him to be. So thank you. I appreciate that. And if you didn't see last night's stream on Russell Wilson and why he can be good in this offense and why he can have a very nice year, go and watch that after this is done. So I appreciate that. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the defensive backfield looks like, led by Joey Porter, led by Minkah Fitzpatrick. There's guys at each level of this defense, multiple guys at each level. That's the other thing. Like, it's not just one guy in the front seven. In the front four, it's okay. You got to worry about TJ Watt. You got to worry about Alex Highsmith, Keanu Benton, and Cam Hayward. And now in the middle, you got to worry about Peyton Wilson, Patrick Queen, and Landon Roberts. And on the back end, oh no, you got to worry about Joey Porter and Minkah Fitzpatrick, and potentially Corey Trice / Darius Rush, depending on which of them or maybe both end up being good players. So that is a defense that is built to be one of the 5 best units in football. So I feel really good about what the Steelers can be defensively. I feel really good about what this defensive backfield can be. Have a lot of high hopes for what this is going to end up looking like. Have a lot of high hopes for what Joey Porter is going to end up looking like in year 2. And clearly he does too. And again, that's a position that I would want my players to be confident in themselves, because increasingly it's getting, once the defense starts to get a little bit of an edge, the NFL seems to try to find a way to take that edge away. And in today's league where, pass interference is more of a prevalent call, you got to be more careful with how you play defense, or you're going to get penalized. It's a special thing when you have an elite cornerback. That's why, the Sauce Gardners, the Pat Surtains, Joey Porters of the world, when you get them, you got to hold on to them. And, you look at even the Chiefs last year, yeah, they have Patrick Mahomes, and obviously they probably don't win any of these Super Bowls without Patrick Mahomes. That goes without say. But last year in specific, their defense was a much bigger part in this last Super Bowl win than, say, their first Super Bowl win. What did they have defensively? They had 2 really, really good cornerbacks in Trent McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed. Now, L'Jarius Sneed obviously is now in Tennessee, so they're going to need guys like Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams to step up opposite of Trent McDuffie. But, when you have 2 really good corners, you put yourself at a really nice advantage when facing, these offenses. By the way, Trent McDuffie last year, you could have made the argument he was the MVP of the Super Bowl. He played lights out. So having, a top-tier corner, especially in today's NFL, it's a passing league. If you can lock down a really good receiver, that is a really good asset to have. And the Steelers certainly have one of their own in Joey Porter. And I'm looking forward to seeing what year 2 brings for him. Especially in a division where you got to worry about Jamar Chase, T. Higgins when you face Cincinnati. You're going to have to worry about, the Amari Coopers, Jerry Jeudy's of the world. You got a guy that can lock those elite guys down. Several first and second year players will be very interesting to watch at the draft. Yeah, you look at the vast majority of their defensive back rooms with Porter, Beanie Bishop, Darius Rush, Corey Trice. They're all Trice. Trice is basically a rookie because he got hurt last year and didn't play. Darius Rush and Joey Porter Jr. are both going into their second years. Beanie Bishop's a rookie. The only vet in the room is Dante Jackson. Darius Rush spoke very highly of Dante Jackson when I spoke to him on Thursday. Saying look, we're a young room. He recognizes that. Anytime that any of us need anything, we know that we can go to him for pointers. So, it's good that they have that veteran presence in the room. And again, we still have a lot of time between now and camp, 2 months, less than 2 months, actually. So they can, if they wanted to go the route of adding a Cam Sutton, or if they wanted to go the route of adding, a Stephon Gilmore, someone of that caliber, someone of that nature, they can certainly do that. But yeah, it's a very young room right now. But, Rush also told me, look, man, in today's league, you got to have young, fast guys to keep up with these receivers. We got a lot of young, fast guys. So, there's positives to take from that, certainly, when talking about their defensive back unit. Yes, it's young, but they're very confident in what they have. And guys like Darius Rush had splash plays last year where you're like, oh, okay, Darius Rush looks pretty good. Corey Trice looked tremendous in camp early on before he got injured. And obviously, Joey Porter's very good. We'll see with Beanie Bishop. He was a consensus All-American last year. So they have the guys where, yeah, they're young, but they feel really confident in what they got. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they look like in Latrobe for sure. It'll be an interesting, very fun training camp. Like I said, I'll be back at OTAs this week, which will be a fun time. Looking forward to that. But yeah, this is going to be a very fun defense to watch. Very exciting. June 1st is almost coming. Hey, again, I need people to also realize if nothing gets done on June 1st, don't freak out. Like, I think that a lot of people are setting themselves up for disappointment if DK Metcalf isn't going to be a Steeler. Like, it's okay. I'm going to reach out to some people to see what the situation with Courtland Sutton is. I'm going to keep following up on that. Because that's still a name I'm keeping an eye on. But, and look, if DK Metcalf does become a Steeler on June 1st, I'll hop on here. We'll talk about it. And I'm sure a lot of you will be celebrating and, being, oh, we told you so. And that's fine, man. We'll see. I think around the league, there's going to be at least like one move that we all talk about in terms of like a post-June 1st trade or cut. So we'll see. Learning curve for linebackers is usually pretty steep. NFL OCs manipulate them. Excited about the potential of Wilson, but I think fans will expect a little bit too much from him early. I got to say, man, when it comes to like linebacker play, how do I want to word this? Like in today's NFL, it's much different than it was, 15 years ago where, Chris Carter talked about this with me last Thursday, where, you had dudes who were specifically to stop the run, guys who were more geared toward the pass. Now, you want to try to find someone who's like a Fred Warner who just shuts down the middle of the field in pass coverage, but also has a nose for the ball against the run, similar to Roquan Smith. You've got that ability with both Queen and Wilson. Like Wilson is tremendous in coverage. He's fast. Has a great nose for the football. Do I think he's going to be an all-pro his rookie season? No, but I think he'll be good. And they don't have to rush him along either. I think he's going to be starting at some point this year, but look, regardless, he's going to get a good amount of snaps, even if, he gets a little bit less than Queen and Landon Roberts to start. He's going to be a part of this D, and I'm very much excited to see what he can do. Yeah, I don't expect something to happen on June 1st exactly. Probably be post June 1st. We'll see. I think that Pittsburgh will be very, very, very patient, as Omar Khan usually is. Now look, if they get a deal done for a guy like DK Metcalf, cool for them. Hey, that's big. It's a big name, and certainly will help you a lot. But I still think that a Sutton or a Treylon Burks is more of a realistic option here. Coach C, totally agree with you. How's it going, Coach C? If Sutton doesn't show up, it's a mandatory camp in the middle of June, and I think we have a legit chance to trade for him. Also think Cam Sutton will be a late addition. Yeah, I think that Cam Sutton, there's a lot of fire to that smoke. It won't shock me. I think I would be more shocked if he doesn't get signed to Pittsburgh than I would be if he, I would be less surprised if he got signed. I think it's just going to happen at this point. I think it's a matter of when, not if, with Cam Sutton. Courtland Sutton, again, yeah, I've said that for the past few weeks. Like when the Steelers called, the Rams also called before and during the draft. They were told no. I was told that the Broncos don't want to trade him, but they also don't want to give him a new deal. Courtland Sutton wants a new deal and isn't going to play on the one that he currently has. So they're kind of at, a crossroads here. So, when it comes to that, if he doesn't show up for mandatory minicamp, then yeah, I think Denver's stance will lighten a little bit and be like, okay, you know what? If he's really not going to show up, let's see what we can get for him. It'll be less than what they could have got for him during the draft. And it boggles my mind that teams are consistently this dumb with how they handle things. Like if you know you're not going to pay him, then just move him when his trade value is at his highest, because now it's dropped. If you're going to move him, you're not going to get as much as what you would have got for him in April. So now you've kind of tanked your own, you tanked his value, because now you're not going to get a draft pick right away. It's going to be in 2025. So they're really just messing with themselves right now. If they're not going to pay him, they should have just traded him when the Steelers and Rams are calling around draft time. And now, if the Steelers and or Rams trade for him, it's not going to be for as much as it would have been before. So something to keep an eye on for sure. I like the way Porter thinks. Yeah, I do too. I want, if I'm running a team or if I'm coaching a team, I want my cornerbacks to be cocky, especially if they're good. And again, I don't think Joey Porter's being cocky here. I think that he's just being like, hey, look, I know how good I am, and my name might not be mentioned with the other top corners, but I know it will be soon enough. So I love that. I love that mindset. Traylon Burks' stats aren't good. Cortland Sutton, I wouldn't be disappointed if we got him. He and Russ were very effective in Denver. Yeah, him and Russ are boys too. Traylon Burks, you'd be trading for the upside, and they wouldn't be trading anything to get him. Maybe he would work out in an Arthur Smith offense. I mean, he fits what an Arthur Smith offense would do. It might be somewhat redundant to have him alongside George Pickens, but I would also say this: Pickens is really working on becoming more of an intermediate winner in terms of his route running. So he got better at that at the tail end of last season. Now he's going to really have to continue getting better with the fact that, Deontay Johnson's no longer there. So Traylon Burks is, can be an over-the-top home run guy. So it would make sense a little bit. But again, if you trade for Traylon Burks, it's because you couldn't get anybody else, and you don't have to trade anything to get him. You could get him. I guarantee they could acquire Traylon Burks for like one of the 7th-round picks they got for Kenny Pickett from Philadelphia. Trading him for nothing. Because right now, what is he? He's like the 4th receiver on the Titans depth chart behind Ridley, Hopkins, and Tyler Boyd. So they very clearly would like to get rid of him. And a team like Pittsburgh, again, if they can't get a Cortland Sutton or like a bigger name, then yeah, they'll call Tennessee and be like, okay, we'll give you the 7th-round pick we got for our former bad quarterback if you give us Traylon Burks. And then, you kind of hope that some of that upside shows up and he can be a solid 3rd receiver. Because I think in that case, then Roman Wilson would be your 2nd receiver. Pat Freiermuth, I guess, would be kind of your de facto number 2 or number 3. So you're just hoping for Traylon Burks to be a solid number 3 target in the offense, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not, again, if they don't get a big name at receiver, I'm not going to be like completely disappointed. Would I like them to? Sure. But I'm not going to be completely disappointed if they don't. So we'll see. DK or Sutton, they both would be huge upgrades from Deontay Johnson. I wouldn't say DK would be an upgrade, sure. Like he's better than Deontay Johnson. Even then though, like Deontay Johnson is a better route runner than both of them. Like I wouldn't necessarily say Cortland Sutton is a ginormous upgrade from Deontay. I think they're on a very similar level, similar tier receivers. DK is better than both of them. Better different things though. I think that Deontay Johnson was severely underrated. And I hope he does well. I hope he does well in Carolina. Burks is still an upgrade over what they have now. And that's another thing. Yeah, very good point. Like, he's better than putting Van Jefferson out there as your number 2 boundary receiver. So, and again, yeah, you'd be banking a little bit on the upside more than anything, but better than what they currently have. He was very good in college. Was a 1st-round pick for a reason. And he was also put in a bad situation. Like, the Titans traded away A.J. Brown and immediately drafted Traylon Burks and said, okay, he'll be A.J. Brown. So, I mean, he was kind of given a bad hand to begin with and given unfair expectations. So I sympathize with him a little bit because of that, where he was just asked to be something that he's not. So, not necessarily his fault for, the way things went in Tennessee. And I hope that if the Steelers would acquire him, again, some of that upside would show up. And he could be productive. And again, in the offense, if they were to acquire Traylon Burks, he's not going to be the 2nd option, not going to be the 3rd option. He's going to be the 4th option and a number 2 outside receiver. but the top 3 options will be Pickens, Freiermuth, and Roman Wilson. And if you can get a number 4 option and a number 2 boundary receiver for a 7th round pick, you do it. You absolutely do it. I give Sutton a slight edge over Deontay just for the yak and combat catches, especially in the end zone. Yeah, like I said, I love Courtland Sutton. I think that had he had consistent good quarterback play throughout his career, he would have made it to more than one Pro Bowl at this point. He's played with 10 different quarterbacks at this point in his career since he got to Denver in 2018. So, when you're playing with, Jeff Driscoll, Joe Flacco, Case Keenum, Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock, you're just playing with bad quarterbacks consistently, but still being, a consistent, productive receiver. I like to think, and look, last year had his career high in touchdown catches, had 10 touchdowns last year. So there's certainly something there. George Pickens was wide receiver 1 in 2023, put up better stats than DK with worse quarterback play. Well, you also got to remember that the Seahawks had a lot more mouths to feed last year, where Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith-Njigba are both also really good. You can spread the ball out more evenly. With the Steelers, like Deontay Johnson was hurt for a little bit last year. Pat Freiermuth was hurt for a little bit last year. So teams could really just hone in on Pickens. So I don't know. Well, I'm not trying to, down George Pickens at all. I think he's very good. And I hope that he develops more of an intermediate portion of his game, because that's been the one thing that's lacking is, yes, he's very good at the contested catches downfield. Yes, he's very good at the yak stuff once they get him the ball right away, but wasn't refined. Wasn't known for, being a refined route runner coming out of school. And again, got better at it throughout last year, but they need him to keep getting better at it because Deontay Johnson's no longer there. So hopefully he continues to improve and, can become a legitimate, number 1 receiver in this offense. Because there's more to being a number 1 receiver than just downfield one-on-one catches and, catching slants and running them very far. You got to be able to win in the intermediate, and hopefully he can do more of that, as they'll really need him to. And I think the offense will help him out a lot, where they're going to try to set up second and medium, second and short situations, third and short situations, and that'll benefit the passing game. So I'm excited to see him in this offense. I'm excited to see everybody in this offense for sure. But and again, if you're just joining, the big thing for today was Joey Porter saying that he views himself as, the best cornerback in football. Mark Kaboly of The Athletic asked him who the best cornerback in football was. He said, me for sure. And then he went on to say that, folks don't put his name in that conversation of best cornerbacks in the NFL, but they will soon enough. And I love that attitude. And I think that, if you're a cornerback in this league, a good cornerback in this league, you kind of got to have that attitude where, hey, I'm the best, come at me, and I'll prove why I'm the best. And he did it consistently last year. Of all cornerbacks with at least 100 coverage snaps, he was 3rd in the NFL in terms of reception percentage. So he was tremendous all of last year. And once the Steelers finally made him a starter, he proved why he was worth more of his draft position. Really, I mean, that's a guy who should have been a 1st-round pick. Pittsburgh got really lucky. I mean, the Commanders took Emmanuel Forbes before Joey Porter. Patriots took Christian Gonzalez, who, by the way, Christian Gonzalez is very good, and I think he's going to keep being very good. But, Joey Porter very much in that same echelon of, hey, a guy who could have gone at that 17 spot, who could have gone at that 16 spot. But the Steelers were lucky to have him fall to 32 in their laps. And now they have a guy who can be their solidified elite number 1 corner for quite a long time. Which is good, which is very good. Do you think if DK comes here, he would be wide receiver 1? Yes. Yes, I do. And I think it would be more of like a 1A, 1B situation, But yeah, DK is better than George Pickens. But and again, it's not saying that Pickens is bad. He's certainly not bad. He's a good receiver. And I hope to see him continue to improve. Overall, like I'm just happy that they have a competent offensive coordinator, a good offense that they're going to run. Like this is going to be a very fun year. Excited to see what Russell Wilson does, what Justin Fields does if he's on the field. It'll be a fun season. Kicking it off in Atlanta on Fox. Second straight year they've kicked off their season on Fox. I always liked, like growing up, I love when they played on Fox. Like even today, I get a little bit excited when they play on Fox because the Fox presentation is just like more clear. Does that make sense? I've said this before on podcasts, and I feel like I can't explain it, but like the picture on Fox just looks so much more clear and vivid than it does on CBS. Does anybody else like feel that same way? Does that make sense? Like it just feels like more vivid looking. It looks just much more refined and clear than it does on CBS. I feel like CBS has like somewhat of a like a lighter contrast, where Fox is a more darker contrast. I guess that's probably my best way of putting it. All right, here. Let's quickly rank how games look on TV by network. Okay. Fox, NBC, I guess ESPN, and then CBS. Probably my ranking. And I don't know how to better explain that. Excited at the potential of Trace and Rush. Me too. And Darius Rush is a guy who, I'm really excited for. It's a guy who I really loved coming out of college last year, and then got drafted by Indianapolis, was like surprisingly cut, picked up by the Chiefs, and then picked up by the Steelers off the Chiefs practice squad. So like, he told me that too. He's like, look, dude, I'm very excited for year 2 because, I bounced around the league a lot last year. I was with 3 teams, and like, I'm grateful for Indy. I'm grateful for Kansas City, but like, I'm happy to be here and know I'm here and be ready to compete wherever they need me to compete. So Darius Rush is a guy who's got a really good head on his shoulders, a guy who I have a lot of high expectations for this year, and I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. And look, that could very well be their nickel guy. We'll see. But he was very adamant that like, look, wherever they need me to play, whatever they want me to do, I will do. So that's a guy with a good head on his shoulders, and I'm excited to see what he looks like. Corey Trice, I mean, there's a lot of people last year who thought that he looked better than Joey Porter Jr. did in camp, and then he got hurt. So, that's a guy who a lot of people were excited for last year. Even after the draft, we're like, oh my goodness, that's a steal that they got in Corey Trice. So I'm excited to see what Corey Trice looks like. Very much looking forward to seeing more of Darius Rush. So I think the Steelers will have a nice cornerback room. And look, the best example that I can like give as like the best case scenario for this would be the Chiefs, because they had Trent McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed. Both of those guys were really young and really came into their own very quickly. Now they have Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams, both of which, Joshua Williams, I think, played in 31% of their snaps last year. He played well. So, like, they are one of those teams that does a very good job of grooming and building defensive backs in-house. If the Steelers can do something similar to that, they are in a great spot, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing what both of them, what all of these cornerbacks will look like. As I said, though, I am, going to shut it down early tonight. I'll stay on for about 5 more minutes. You got any more questions, comments that you want me to address? Absolutely drop them in the comments, and I'll touch on them. But I guess about 5 more minutes, and then we'll get on out of here for the day. And then tomorrow, we'll talk about all the stuff that Patrick Queen said on Derek Bell's YouTube show. And then Thursday, I'll recap what I saw at OTAs. Friday, probably a Justin Fields show. Again, it depends on what OTAs will look like, and what my takeaways from OTAs will be. But that's kind of a look for the rest of the week. Is tomorrow Patrick Queen, Thursday OTA recap Friday. We'll see what happens. Kind of up in the air right now. So, and then I've got more stuff coming on the pump fake. We're figuring out a lot of different things right now in terms of players. It's a busy time of year for these guys, going to OTAs and figuring all of that out. So, I think once we get into like June, like after OTAs are done, that'll be easier for to have guys come on where they're not, having to constantly go back and forth between facilities and home, OTAs, and worry about practice and stuff like that. Once we have that lull period between mandatory mini camp and training camp, we're going to get a few guys on here, which would be fun. It'd be a lot of fun to talk to some guys. I'm very much looking forward to that. Moon is another one of these young guys I'm excited to see. Kind of stole him too. The team got very young the last 2 years. Jeremiah Moon, yeah. We'll see what that brings. I'm not going to pretend to know a ton about Jeremiah Moon, but there's a lot of young, hungry guys on this team that want to prove their worth and want to find a spot in their respective rotations. So I'm excited for preseason to see what all these guys can do. Like even the defensive line, like Isaiah Loudermilk, been here for a few years, still trying to earn more reps. Dean Lowry, guy they signed as a free agent. Logan Lee, drafted him in the 6th round. Like there's a lot of guys at each level that are really going to be competing for spots, and I'm excited to see what all that turns into. But all right, I think that's probably we'll cut it off. We'll cut it off there. Again, tomorrow we're going to talk about Patrick Queen's comments, so be here for that. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Daily Steelers show, Monday through Friday. Black and Gold Breakdown. I stream every episode of the Pump Fake on here as well. We'll post clips from all of that as well. So if you're not already subscribed and you want all of your NFL fixes, subscribe to the channel. And if you can't watch the Pump Fake, listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. I did the NFC North preview show today with my friend Ben Raven, who covers the Detroit Lions for MLive up in Detroit. So we went through the NFC North. Nice half-hour pod for you there as well. And you can watch it on the channel if you got the time and want to watch it, throw it onto some background noise, do that. But yeah, absolutely subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. Almost to 1,000 subscribers. What are we at right now? I'll tell you what we're at right now. Currently at 922, so 78 away from 1,000. So get me to 1,000. And again, really just started doing this over the last month from like draft season on. Did a few streams following the draft, got a lot of views. And each time I do one of these, you guys tune in. So thank you for that. It does mean a lot. If you want to become a Pump Fake Plus subscriber, it is $2.99 a month. If you don't want to, that is also okay. What it gives you is when, we do have players and media on, you can submit questions that you would like to be asked. So that's pretty much the big perk of it. I made it as cheap as I could because I don't have a ton of extra stuff to give you. But if that's something that you would be interested in, or you just want to support me because you think I'm a swell guy, that's also nice. I am going to turn on YouTube and I'm going to lay in bed and really just reset for tomorrow. But thanks everybody for tuning in as you always do. It does make me very happy. I'm very appreciative of it. I will see you guys tomorrow for more Black and Gold Breakdown. Thanks again. Subscribe, do all that fun stuff. I'll be back tomorrow.